Okay, so again, we added the lines to the photo, and then we added those lines to our first layer, did our rough draft with our loose gestural lines, and then we overlaid that rough draft and refined it and cleaned it up with our 3 line weights. Okay, so again, this is warm up 3. I'll write it on here. Number 3. Okay, so once we've got our refined layer, again, just go with it. If it's not perfect, that's okay. This is all process work. Don't do it over and over again and just frustrate yourself. We're just, going to get better week to week. So now what we're going to do is render this with a little marker. So we're going to expand on that idea of the contouring by thinking of the light coming in the window. So see how, first of all, notice how I didn't draw this edge of the bed or the platform, because I'm going to get that with our marker. And you can see the light hitting this side of the bed really strongly. Okay, and you can see the light coming in from the windows here. So I'm going to leave these all patches of white paper. And I'm going to start with these kind of warmer tone markers with this lightest one, which is the N89. Okay? And I'm going to lay that in first of all where I just see some light values on the top of the bed, for example. So I'm going to bring it in here on the side. Just kind of implying this cast lighting effect. And then I'm going to add that same marker here to the floor where I'm seeing some value going on. Or here in the folds of the curtains, right, a little of that. Get a feeling of depth there. Okay, and then if you look here at the top of where this is shadowing the ceiling, a little bit there. Or up here on this wall that's facing away from the light source. I'm going to add a little bit there. This is all with the same marker. Now if I look at rounded forms like these vases, like I say, if the light's sitting this side, I'm just going to put a little crescent on the side that's facing away from the light. Put a little bit on the side of the dresser. So notice on this chair, you get a highlight here on the seat. So I'm going to put a little on the front of the cushion and the back cushion, but I'm going to leave the seat white so I can get that highlight. Okay, so a little bit on the plates, on the side of the table. Okay, now let's take a look at the side of the pillow could go darker. Remember, you're going to add value where one thing overlaps another. Okay, and think about if you have a vertical side, you're going to add the marker vertically. And again, I'm following kind of that idea of the contouring like you did on your homework, following the shape of the item with my marker stroke direction will help the viewer see the direction of the plane better. So I'm going to add, I'm going along as if my hand's running through there. Okay, so now I can see this frame is darker. Okay, so I'm starting to get a little bit of a depth on it. But what now I'm going to do is add one step darker, and that is going to be the N79, where I see things going dark. So underneath the platform, for example, it's going a little darker down under here. Okay, or underneath the pillow, where they're overlapping, you can see that darker value back in here. Or underneath these chairs onto the floor to ground them out a little bit. Underneath the dresser, even around the bottom of the drapes where they overlap the floor. Okay, even in here a little bit. on the shadow side of the painting. Okay, so see how that's just giving a little bit of depth? So I'm just, every place I'm seeing some overlap, I'm going to add this darker marker. So I get a little bit more in the folds here. Now if you get any on there and you feel like it's too dark, then take that lighter one back and just blend it back out. So these markers are very much, they're watery, you know, so they're just, use that to your advantage by going through and letting them blend back out. So like here I'm going to put a little bit more contrast of the light coming in the window. And then I'm going to blend it out with the lighter one. Now just like I showed on the demo, you can also take the very same marker and add a little bit more on the back to give yourself some interesting effects too. So this can be good to create a textural effect. So see how it just kind of makes it feel like has some value to the, or texture to the pillow fabric. Okay, and I'm just going to add a little bit of a light value tone back here, so this pushes back visually to the next room. The point is, see, because it's a quick sketch, we're going to keep it fairly abstract, but just adding enough value on here so it feels like you can see the definitions of the items. On this particular warm-up, we're getting kind of started with this whole markering thing. So remember, your markers also have a fine point, but don't get too in love with the fine point. Try to get more comfortable with that flare tip, which will allow you to go a little bit faster and looser. But you do have the fine point if you need to get into a little tinier area. Okay, so see how that's starting to get some depth, and that's what's going to help you with your homework assignment. And then finally, you're going to take one color pencil. In this case, I'm just taking a little bit of red. This is going to be a practice for the homework too. And I'm just going to do a light shading of that in a few spots to enliven the sketch. So here on the pillows, again to create like a textural effect on the pillow, maybe a little on the platform. So when I add the color, I want to just do it enough to kind of enliven the sketch, but I'm not going to go overboard with this one, just to kind of the beginning of the process. But I don't want to have just these two items red because then my eye's going to just lock onto that. So I'm going to add some in some other areas so that my eye will move around the drawing. So just get a little bit of red on these accents. Now later we'll use a full range of color, of course, but this is just to get the process started. Okay, so you can see how the red, your eye is just going to go from red to red to red, so kind of keep your eye moving around the drawing. Sometimes I'll just put a little flavoring of red and some other elements. But again, don't go overboard. You don't want to like a crying scene or something. You could use a blue or you could use a green or whatever, but in this case, because you have these kind of terracotta pillows, I used red. Okay, so that's your warm-up number 3. Okay, here's an exercise for class 3. So this is class 3. And we're doing, remember we were talking about perspective. So this one, you're going to be using your Sketching and Rendering Interior Spaces book, and you're going to turn to page 24 and 25. And you're going to do some one-point rooms. So you might get out a couple different colors of pens that are in your kit for this one, which can be helpful. So let's try that. So remember we talked about the horizon line as being your eye level. So on these, you're going to start with that horizontal line that represents your horizon line or your eye level. Okay, you're going to put a point on that line. Now you want to think about how big you're making your room based on your paper. So I'm going to make another mark below my eye level, and now this mark is going to represent my eye height to where I'm standing in the room. So let's say that's 5 feet from the floor to my eyes. My horizon line is 5 feet off the floor. Okay, so now I'm going to do a 10-foot ceiling by taking that same amount and making a mark above the horizon line, and that's going to help me place the back wall. So now I just draw a rectangle You can see it's 10 feet high, my eye height halfway up the wall. And if I use that same measurement sideways, I can see it's maybe about 15 feet wide. So I'm using the proportion, and here's 5, go 5, 10, 15. So again, here's from here to here's 5. If I make a mark this way, I've got 5, 10, a little more than 15. 5, 10, let's call it 17, or another 7, because this would be 5. Okay, hopefully that's not confusing to you. And then from here to here would be 10 feet. Okay, so once I've got my vanishing point here and my height to my width from my back wall, now I'm going to connect from the point out through those 4 corners of the room to create my 1-point room. Okay? And if you get confusing, or if your eye doesn't want to see it right away, sometimes it can help to just throw a little color on the back wall. So you can say, okay, yeah, this is the back wall. And then here's the side wall coming out. Here's the other wall. Here's the floor. Here's the ceiling. Hopefully you see it now. So again, that's what they're showing here on page 25 of your SRIS book. Okay, but now we're going to take it into a little bit more detail. Okay, so let's try that again. Let's say I'm going to draw a line that represents my horizon line. Wait a second, I need a different music for this. Bear with me 1 second, sorry about this. We need something more classical for perspective. I found works best. Okay, so let's try this and see if it's better. Okay, so here's your horizon line again. And now on this one, let's say again, from here to here's 5 feet. But on this one, I'm going to do a tall ceiling. So I've got, here's 5, 10, 15, a 20-foot ceiling. So now I'm going to go ahead and elevate the back wall. So let's say it's going to be a public space, so it's like a tall, maybe like a corridor in a public building or something, where I've got 5, 10, 15, 20-foot ceiling, and the room is 5, 10, 15 wide. So again, I'm taking this measurement of my eye height to the floor and using that to proportion the back wall. Okay, so once I've got my vanishing point, I'm going to come from that point through the 4 corners of the back wall. Now make sure you're actually following that point, because what's going to happen is the left brain's going to want to go like that or like that. Usually kind of come down too steep. So you can use a straight edge if you want, or just use your full arm movement, drop down it, and then bring it out to make sure that you're following out from your point. Okay? So again, here's the back wall, here's the ceiling, here's the side walls, and here's the floor. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how you can add a little bit of detail to these. So let's say I'm going to do a band of detail 30 inches up off the floor. I'm going to count, this 5 feet is 60 inches, right? So halfway up would be 30 inches. I'm going to draw that band across the back wall. Okay? See where the band hits the corner? I'm going to connect from my point and bring it out to create the band on the side wall. And this is showing how things get bigger in perspective, right? So 30 inches back here is a lot smaller than 30 inches out here. Why? Because remember, things get bigger as they move towards you in your visual field. And so then let's try the same thing here. So if I want a 30-inch band above my eye level, I'm going to use this measurement on the back wall, bring it up. So here's the other band. Now I'm going to connect from my point, from where the band hits the corner, and bring it out. So see how this is the band's getting wider as the foreground and smaller in the background. Now, the other thing this shows is the rules of perspective. This is your rule of thumb that you want to remember. Notice that anything below your eye level is going to angle up to your eye level. See how it's angling up to the point? Anything above your eye level is going to angle down to your eye level. So see how this band above your head is going to angle down to the point. So I would recommend going around your house and sighting and seeing the angles of the windows above your head angling down to your eye level, or the floor lines angling up to your eye level. This is going to help you see it better. So can you see this big band where these lines are going up and these lines are going down? Okay, so now we're going to try a window by we're going to add a window by adding a vertical first. Okay, That gives me the height of the window. And now I'm going to connect from my point to create the top and the bottom of the window. Okay, now I'll show you up here what the left brain wants to do. Let's say we're going to add the window, and then I try to draw the top, and then I go to draw the bottom, and I go like this. This is no. See how these lines are staying parallel? They're not angling to the point. They're going to ray out from the point like that. Okay, because this is your left brain again, trying to take over the process. So the left brain logically knows the top and the bottom of the window are parallel, so they try to keep them that way instead of allowing the lines to ray out. So this one's correct. See how the top is angling down to the point and the bottom's angling up to the point. Now let's say if you had another window here all the way above your eye level. See how they're both going to angle down to the point. Why? Because again, all the lines are above your eye level. So this is the same if it was a painting on the wall or whatever that's on your side walls, a door opening, it's going to be the same rule of thumb. Okay, so here's the other thing to now consider. You're going to add the thickness of the wall. You don't want your wall to look like it's made out of paper. So to do that, you have to remember the rules of perspective we talked about. Anything parallel to the back wall is going to have a horizontal line. So that means I'm going to put a horizontal, the top and the bottom, and draw that first to get the thickness of the wall, and then connect from my point to get the sill and the header. Okay, so this would be like the glass set into the wall right here, into the opening. Okay, what the left brain wants to do again is just to go ahead and draw the thickness like this first. You guys see that? And then notice how to connect this corner to this corner, I have to angle the line. So that's not correct in one point. Anything parallel to the back wall has to stay horizontal. So let's try it up here. I'm going to bring a horizontal off the corner, bring the width of the wall down, then connect from my point, and here's my header. I'm not going to see the sill because it's above my eye level. So this would be the glass above your eye level. So go ahead and try that, by adding some, let's say we add a doorway over here. And, well, another thing is, if this is at 5 feet, I usually don't want my window below my eye level. I want to be able to see out of it, right? So if this is 5 feet to here and then plus 30 inches, that would be 7/6 to the top of this band. So let's go ahead and put a 7/6 door in here to the top of the band. And I'll show you how to figure out how to make these widths accurate later. For now, we're just eyeballing them. Okay, so that's my door opening. So the same thing, I want to put a horizontal at the top and the bottom. Connect from the point. And there's the header of the door. And let's say if the floor runs right through here, that line will come out. So I might see this wall back here extending over. Does that make sense? So you can walk right through that opening now. Okay. Now let's show you the next thing that you can do with the perspective. So let's say we're going to do a hardwood floor here. The back wall could actually be in scale, or you can just eyeball it again off your 5-foot eye height. But I'm going to make these even tick marks on the back wall. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm making those even marks, evenly spaced marks on the back wall. And I'm going to connect each of those from my point and out to create the planks of the hardwood floor. See how they're raying out from the point? So it's just like a big starburst with one point. You've got all these lines coming out from that one vanishing point. Because you're standing straight across from the back wall, looking straight at it, so your eyes are parallel to the back wall. So everything's going to ray out from that point, just like this. Okay? Now if I wanted to do a tile floor, I could just bring horizontals across. So remember, things are, I just say horizontal, but they're going to space gradually further apart as they move out from you. Okay, so now if you want to get really fancy, let's add a piece of furniture to the room by adding a box. So let's say we have a box here under this doorway. Under this window. So I'm just going to go ahead and make what I call a perspective footprint by bringing the width out of the box. So I can base it off these back points. Let's say those are 2 feet. I want this 2 feet. I'm going to count those 2 feet here, connect from my vanishing point, And that'll show me how big this perspective footprint would be, how wide, how deep it would be. Okay, so notice again, these lines are staying horizontal because they're parallel to the back wall. Okay, now I'd have to think about my height. So let's say I want it to come up to 30 inches right to that band. So I'm going to bring one vertical up. I only have to do that once because now I'm going to follow the footprint around. So again, if this is horizontal, the line above it's horizontal. Okay, then I connect from my point. This line's going to the point. I'm going to come back up from the point. That'll give me this horizontal. If this is horizontal, the line above it's horizontal. And then this is going to the point, so the line above it's going to the point. So here's the top of the cabinet, here's the side, and here's the front. Now, if you don't get the box today, that's okay. I just need you to get the basic 1-point room, and you'll be fine for this particular lesson. Okay, so this is 1 point, I'm trying to spell warm up, room for class number 3, okay? So next, I'm going to show you how to do the 2-point room.